In allying themselves with the Empire of Japan, Colombia has violated the Monroe Doctrine and more specifically enabled us to use the Roosevelt corollary and enact our supremacy over all the Americas. So it seems that some intimidation is in order, and we have been ordered to send a fleet of our discretion towards the coast, into the Caribbean off the coast of Cartagena, to remind Colombia who controls this continent. And for that purpose, we will send the USS New York and Texas. We'll send them south. They can send New York and Texas, and they will en route. They will meet up with the Omaha and the Clemson as their escort to make sure that nothing happens to them. And we'll see if we can. Remind Colombia of their obligations and who is in charge in the American continent. Also, because Japan is starting to become assertive in South America, it is high time that we move at least some forces forward. Unfortunately, we don't have an awful lot of port capability. The biggest one that we have is in the Philippines. So we will send part of the Pacific Fleet over into Manila and Davao to make sure that if tensions with Japan get out of control, then we'll be ready. So let's do that. And where have I parked them? There we go. So we are going to send, I think we can send probably two. So let's send two ships to Manila to 97,000 tons. So we can send the Arizona and we can send the we'll send Arizona and Pennsylvania to Manila. And we will send who else do we have here? We've sent two destroyers. What do we have? We'll send two destroyers along. That we can send the Evans and the Little. And then we will probably send, what do we still have in San Francisco? We can send New Mexico and maybe Idaho to Davao, or maybe just one of them. 3 battleships should be sufficient. Yeah, Davao doesn't have the capacity probably. So we'll send the New Mexico to Davao, and we'll include 2 destroyers from San Diego as well as escorts for her. So I will send the Woolsey and the Wicks. That leaves us with the Philip, and we can send her to San Francisco to join up with the remaining battleship. And that is the Pacific Fleet on the way to remind Japan and Colombia who is the boss. Unfortunately, sending the ships out is further straining our already very strained finances. So we're going to have to draw down some funds from research. There we go. That should be somewhat sustainable, and we'll still try to build up our transport capacity. But yeah, fleet maintenance is expensive. Sending these ships halfway across the globe costs a lot of money, unfortunately. In April 1920, a US task force consisting of the New York, the Texas, the Omaha, and the Clemson have arrived off the coast of Cartagena. The ships have joined, so we will move them closer to port and perform a show of force for Colombia to remind them who the predominant naval power is in the region. And the Mark I 16-inch gun has been produced, or at least plans for these guns, by the Bureau of Ordnance. So we will have a quick look, and we will see if these are any good. I don't think so. I don't think they are, but minor skirmishes have broken out around the world. I don't think we can quite use these yet, but we'll take a look at what these would look like compared to the other guns. So obviously at some point we do want a Colorado class, but we could now use the 16-inch twin barrel guns, and we'll see how good these are. Am I going to be able to? There we go. So if we were to maybe we can get a 15-inch twin barrel behind it, just so we have an easy comparison. So this is the 15-inch, and if we're backing out of that, it should actually show me. There we go. So this is the, we've got only Mark 1 on this 15s as well. Okay, let's do it with the 14s. 14-inch, we have Mark 3s, I think. So if we put a 14-inch twin barrel gun there. So that's Mark 3 14-inch. We have a rate of fire of 0.79 rounds per minute, and we've got about a fire rate of half of that with the 16-inch Mark 1s. So while they have the range is worse on the 16 inches, and the damage, the damage is significantly better on the 16-inch guns, but they're firing about half as quickly. So if you take that into account, the difference is marginal. And obviously the 16-inch turret is significantly more heavy. So with that, taking that into account, I think we're not yet going to build ourselves a Colorado with the 16-inch, but we are going to have a quick look and see if we can improve on the 16 inches at some point, or even just the 15-inch guns, and get a bit of a better gun out of there before we start designing ourselves another battleship and getting that under construction, because Congress is very much against this. But yeah, I doubt that we're going to get a Mark II or Mark III 16-inch anytime soon. So I'm going to remove the priority. I just wanted to have them. Maybe we can use them for a Colorado class, at least an early model, and we can later refit it with a different gun. But I'm going to go back to regular research priorities, because right now we don't really have the money. So we can slowly increase our technology budget again. And while we are starting to, we also need to get the crew training going while we are starting to rebuild our funding, but we're generally not in the greatest position. We have been approached by the Minister of Finance, and he thinks we need more destroyers, and there will be funds allocated for the construction of destroyers. I somewhat agree with the Minister's opinion. Unfortunately, that is going to have political ramifications, but and cause some unrest locally by reallocating funds from our strained economy. But constructing more destroyers as escorts for our ships, given the recent actions of the Empire of Japan, is something that I agree with. In an interesting development, we have managed to sign an alliance and trade agreement with Persia. The local extremists have not managed to hold on to the government, and the monarch is very much in favor of foreign investment. So they're immediately ordering a Wix-class destroyer. They will be paying 25% in advance and the rest upon delivery for a decent profit. We're absolutely going to agree to that, and we're going to be building the first destroyer for Persia. With our newly acquired funds, we can immediately begin the construction of the Oakland-class light cruisers, and that'll greatly help with projections. So I think we can probably build 4 of these, and or maybe 5, and not be worse for wear here. So let's get that going, and that should work with the funds that we have available and that have been allocated to us by the political leadership. And it looks like with Japanese backing and Japanese naval staff on site to consult with the government in Cartagena, Colombia has refused to back down. Our leadership has decided to retreat the fleet to the east coast for now, and they will consider further moves going forward. Instead, We are going to keep them available as close as we can. I think the ports in Guantanamo is definitely too small, and the Panamanian ports of call as well. But we may be able to send the fleet to Miami, and that might be enough. Let's see. We'll move them to Miami for now, such that when they inevitably get called out again, then we'll be ready. But I think the Pacific Fleet is close to arriving in their new ports in the Philippines, and we can start. We have made a little detour in the north, and the Arizona and the Pennsylvania are passing through the straits in Kyushu to give the Japanese a little taste as well of what we're all on about. Our new allies in Persia are now interested also in bigger guns and would like to order a Nevada-class battleship. There will be once again a 25% advance, and yes, our shipyards have capacity. And even though the trade unions are striking, we do need the work urgently to get to appease the shipyard, the dockyard workers, and the construction. So for a total profit of 67%, we are agreeing, and we will construct one for them. As the first year of my commission is coming to a close, the political situation in the world remains tense. Austria-Hungary has started invading Ukraine, and this has obviously caused great concern with the Soviets. And Germany as well has been having some scuffles on the ground, but we don't see a major war happening yet in Europe, although tensions, especially between the Soviet Union and Germany, Austria, and Austria-Hungary remain high. At the same time, our political leadership has been deaf to my warnings and seems to have been infiltrated by communist agitators, and has developed a relatively positive view, even in the light of anarchist unrest and general strikes of the Soviet system and the Soviet Union itself. At the same time, the threat from Japan appears to be more and more real, especially due to their meddling in the affairs of South America, which is not something that we will let stand. But so we will have to build up our forces more, and we'll see when things eventually come to a head. Nobody hopes for war, but it's always good to be prepared.